channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to prepare these incredible little chuchitos. And as you guys may already know, I'm half Greek and half Mexican, but these chuchitos are my sister-in-law's signature recipe who's from the country of Guatemala. We make hundreds of these every year, and they're nothing like a tamale. They're very different in taste and texture. They just melt in your mouth and are so explosive in taste. They may seem hard to make, but they're quite easy. Let me show you how. Let's get started. These chuchitos, you want to start off by boiling the meat. I'm using some pork today, but you can also make these using chicken or beef. For however many pounds of masa you're using, use an equal amount of meat for the filling. I'm adding some cumin to the pot along with some bay leaves, a couple of cloves, and of course some salt. You want to cover this with water and bring it up to a boil while we prepare the salsa for this pork. Another thing I want to mention is the pork should be cut up into bite-sized pieces, or you could cut it up afterwards. All the vegetables used for this salsa are going to be grilled. We want to slightly char them to really amp up the flavor of this sauce. We have here some red bell pepper, some tomatoes and green tomatillos, some dried chiles, pasilla and guajillo, and a white onion and some garlic. This could be done under the broiler in your oven or in a pan on the stovetop. After about 20 minutes, they should be all nice and soft, and I'm going to be removing them and placing them into a bowl. The last part you will need for this sauce is the pumpkin and sesame seeds. I'm going to be toasting them until they're a deep golden brown color, and you'll want to keep moving these because they will burn rather quickly. Now that everything's all nice and toasty, I'm going to be adding all of this to the blender with a bunch of fresh cilantro. These chilies are going in as well as the rest of the veggies. This sauce, like I was telling you, is so explosive in taste. It's really going to take these chuchitos to a whole other level. Now this is going to be blended in batches since it won't all fit in the blender, but all of this sauce is then going to go straight into that boiled pork. One important part though is to remove some of that liquid that the pork is boiling in. Make sure that it's only about a quarter way full of water before you add all of those batches of the blended up sauce. You're going to cover this and allow it to simmer for about 45 minutes until you're able to shred the pork with a fork. This is the masa that we will be preparing our chuchitos. You will need about a half a cup of masa for every chuchito. So about 1 pound of masa will yield a dozen chuchitos. I'm going to be seasoning this masa with some chicken consomme. I'm using a bit of the tomato consomme as well since it's what I had on hand. But what I usually do to check the salt is to taste a little bit of the masa and then take the piece out of your mouth just to make sure that it's good on flavor. This masa is a corn dough. For those of you who weren't quite sure, you can find it prepared in bags at your Latin supermarkets, and it's a more coarse ground corn than the one used for making tortillas. It's mixed with a bit of lard, which is what makes these chuchitos so moist and delicious. Okay, so now that this is all mixed up well, I have here my corn husks. I'm going to be soaking them in some hot water. This part could actually be done the morning of when you're going to be making your chuchitos. You could also use banana leaves, but I'll show you guys how to do that in another video. So now for the fun part, grab a bunch of people because it's time to assemble these little guys up. You want to take either a big corn husk or you can overlap 2 smaller husks. So with the smoothest side of the husk, you're going to be placing about 1 to 2 heaping spoonfuls of the masa right into the middle. Spread it around the middle slightly and add a piece of the meat right into the middle with a bit of that sauce. You're going to roll all of that mixture up with the husk, and then you're going to flip that pointy part of the husk right to the top. Now with either a string or a strip from the corn husk, you're gonna tie shut the chuchito, and if a little bit squeezes out of the top, it's okay, just fill it a bit less for the next one. This is another part of what makes these little chuchitos so moist and out of this world, is the fact that they're sealed shut, allowing all that moisture to stay inside. They just melt in your mouth, so delicious, with all that salsa and the pieces of meat. Continue assembling these. It's so much fun to do with friends and family, especially around Christmas time, talking about memories. It's such a wonderful tradition. Now once they're all done, I have here this huge pot. You want to take some kind of a steam rack and put it on the bottom, and you're going to fill this pot with about a quarter way full of water. Arrange all of the chuchitos nicely inside, and these are about half of the amount we made. Some of them, as you can see, are tied on both ends like candy. These are another way that you can prepare them for a bigger size chuchito. Cover them all on top with some more husks or a piece of wax paper, and make sure there's enough water, about a quarter way full, and you're gonna put this on a medium-high heat until it starts to steam. Once it's then hot enough and releasing steam, I like to put them on a medium-low heat and allow them to slowly steam for about 2.5 to 3 hours. It's much easier than working with a high heat because if the water runs out, the bottoms will burn, resulting in burnt tasting chuchitos, so be careful and keep checking on that water. Now that they're ready, let's check it out. When you unwrap it, the masa should be nice and firm. It should still cut softly, but keep its shape. This one was a beef one. We also made some with beef, and they taste wonderful with chicken too. These chuchitos are typically served with a simple salsa. You can make this by boiling some tomatoes and onions and then blending it with a teaspoon of salt. And don't forget about the sprinkling of some dried cotija cheese. I'm telling you guys now, once you try these little chuchitos, you're gonna go crazy over their delicious taste and want to make this one of your new holiday traditions.